Hello, and welcome to the Darby Creek Diaries. I'm Gail Thompson, and today I'm doing yet another Colorize die, but this is Harvey, and he is awesome. My son was in the band for 5 years, Taylor, and I've made a lot of band things, such as buy nutcrackers, but now we're going to make ornaments. All I did was get some of those wooden ornaments and I'm gluing two of them together because it makes it more substantial. I was testing out paints and things, so all I did was just glue on the yucky side. I think liquid glue is best for this, so you can wiggle it into the spot you want. While that's drying, I'm putting some stick-it adhesive on the back of some white cardstock and just making sure that it's stuck well. And I'm going to run it through the die cutter with this background die, also from Tim Holtz. It's a plaid background, I believe. And I try to save everything, so I'm so stingy with my craft supplies. I waste lots of other things, but not craft supplies. So I ran through the die cutter, and I'm going to trace around the ornament, because you really only have to pick out the shards of the one, or I guess they're called chads, and just, you don't have to do the whole thing that way, but I will save that rest of it for later. I started picking through. Since it had the adhesive on it, I probably should have used a shim, but anyhow, this is what it looks like cut out, and I'm peeling the backing off, and it's a little bit, fiddly, but still better than trying to glue it. I'm picking out the end of it. Now I'm going to lay it on my ornament. It doesn't really matter which way, but I'm eyeballing it. And that looks pretty good. The thing about stick-it is you can lay it on there temporarily, and it's not going to be permanent until you really press on it. So I'm going to trim off a little bit, and then I decide, well, might as well wait and trim it off once it's glued on. And I'm double checking everything's lined up. And now I'm plucking it back onto the ornament. And this time I'm going to use my bone folder and really press down. I just wanted to give the ornament some texture rather than just flat painting. I could have done that, but hey, when you have all the other stuff laying around, you might as well use it. So here it is, ready to go, and I've got distress paint and brushed pewter. And you shake it up, there's a ball in there, and you want to shake it up well. And I'm just putting some on a craft mat. And this couldn't be easier. I'm just going to paint on it and try to get into the nooks and crannies, and then try to get the excess out of the nooks and crannies, which actually is harder than getting it in the nooks and crannies. And I just have a flat brush, and it's nothing, the brush is nothing special. And I want to make sure to coat it thoroughly with a thin layer. And it's always better when you paint to do 2 thin layers than to do one big thick layer. So this time though, I, kind of did a little of both. I was in a hurry. I'm always in a hurry, and I don't know why, but I am. I don't have a lot of craft time, so that's probably why. I hope you all are doing great and that you're getting ready for the holidays if you celebrate. This particular project is great because it doesn't have to be a Christmas ornament. As a matter of fact, there's Harvey. I'm going to use the one on the right. That's the closest looking to the Ohio State band that I could find. Yeah, so you can just use this for anything. I didn't add any fluffy stuff to it because my son, he doesn't want a bow. I took Harvey, drew him out, and diagrammed him. And then voila, here he is. Isn't he cute? I didn't do the spats because it was just going to be too hard. But I wanted to show you what we were going for, and then I will show you how to get started. Here's a picture of what it looks like with a person in uniform. That's my son Taylor. We were at a Red, White, and Boomer, one of those things. And to Biddle, if you want, you can Google it. I'll have links below, but he's dotted the I lots of times. And it is such an honor, and it is truly a great tradition, and there'll be information down below about it. So the thing about Harvey is or all these Colorizes, you just want to be organized. Now I take creative liberties, I'm going to call it that, with some of these pieces so that I can transform them into what I want. Now, to Biddle, the best damn band in the land, doesn't typically, they don't wear the big hi-hats, just the drum major. But I thought, I still want him to look like a nutcracker, so I let it go. Let it go, let it go. And I'm putting the little fella's face in. And it's these are little tiny things, and I've got fumble fingers sometimes. Sorry about his pants being off screen, but I'm just laying the pants down on the legs of the base. They always start with a base, and they always have little indentations of where you put things. I have a whole playlist on Tim Holtz things, which are full of Colorize, how to put those together. And I will link it below, but you can also just check out my my channel, and they'll all be there individually. So the Ohio State Band wears silver, so silver buttons and things, and this basically is the undergarment, so I don't have to put in all those little buttons. And now I'm putting on the next layer of his pants/shoes. This is art glitter glue with the fine point tip. You definitely will want a fine point tip for this project because there are some really skinny spots. Now this glue does dry matte and clear, so it's not a huge deal, but you want to do the best you can. So I'm trying to figure out where I can put glue and not get in the way, and put on the next layer of his jacket, which I'm modifying. They don't have that strip down the middle, so I'm just going to lock that back into place. And he's starting to look more like a Biddle member. Yes, the sousaphones are the ones that dot the I. They've had some guest I daughters, famous ones, President Ford, Bob Hope, Jack Nicklaus, and lots of famous people. I'm putting on the little cross belt. So when they do it, that is considered an honor. And the sousaphone section chooses them if they want them to guest. So a lot of practice goes into that. If you've never seen the Ohio State Band, you really ought to check out some of their videos. They go viral every now and then because they make moving formations. Okay, now we're going to stick the oh man, I can't remember what that's called. Oh well, it doesn't matter. They also wear a secondary hat, and when they don't have it's just a little cap, and if they aren't wearing it, they stick it under the shoulder, under their little, there's a button strap up there. I'm putting together the feather, which it's not shiny at the bottom, but I just left it for, more artistic license. But they do have a two-toned feather. And then I'm putting this little silver piece together and kind of pushing it in place. And now we're going to put the last pair of his shoes. These guys have a lot of dimension when you look at them up close. And I will let you see them up close when we're done. I also wind up putting some diamond glaze. It's the same as glossy accents My Glossy Accents bottle was glued shut. So I went with the diamond glaze, and it does great. Now I'm putting on their cap. They have stripes that run across the front of their cap, and it's got two silver ones with a red one in the middle. I was referring to a picture off to the side. You know, I've seen him a million times in that uniform, and yet I can't remember sometimes what it looks like. That's what happens when you get old. So I was out today, and it was super cold, and I'm not into winter. I don't know if you are, but I could do without it. I think I may wind up when I retire being one of those snowbirds. Oh, when I was at Walmart, this is really important. One of the employees said that he got an email saying that Walmart's not going to sell gift cards anymore. That's coming up. So don't buy any. And if you have them, don't let them lay around, because for some reason they are not going to do them anymore. Probably because there's a lot of fraud, but just thought I'd let you know. Tell your friends. He says, tell everybody you know, because it's coming soon. So tell your friends. Now I'm just taking some random shards of paper and they have stripes on above their cuffs. And you can just make them big and then trim everything off later. And the thing about these Colorize is if you don't get everything laying perfectly on the base, you just can trim it. No one is going to ever know. You just cut behind it and you're good to go. Like I'm going to these little gloves. Their little hands aren't going to be square. I rounded them off. I just thought it would look better. Now I'm going back for the top stripe. Once you do one of these, you can get going a lot quicker. And I recommend just cutting everything out of all the colors, rather than, you know, looking and picking for a little sheet of this and a little scrap of that, because you can build all different colors with them. So just roll all the dies at once, because there are so many. Now I'm taking a dark blue marker and going around the edge, because it bugs me to see the sides. And not all it, some of it is really hard to get to, so I don't really hit all of it. But I got the best of it. And there is Harvey / Taylor. Now in the band, you get a nickname, and my son's nickname was Beans, which, believe me, was one of the ones, the nice, you know, not nice, but not silly. I mean, it's silly, but there were some super silly ones. And I just laid those across the mat and lined them up, and then just put a Post-it note down and grabbed them. That's the easiest way. Then I eyeballed putting them down, because it really didn't matter where they went, but you could get fussy and put a T-roller there. So Beans is these are the Varsity letters from Sizzix and Tim Holtz, and they have the little trim around it, so I'm going to put the trim there. Yeah, they had a Twitter account where all the band members were hooked in, and during one of their trips, they stopped, and lots of people ate at Taco Bell, and somebody got on there and said, "You sure that you should have taken us to a place and filled us full of beans before we all got on the bus?" And there's 270 people. And my son gets back on there and says, "Cannibals?" That's just like my son. So we're going to continue on. Later, I do find the middle part of that A. And, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, because I'm going to be doing some other decorations to this as well. And this little needle point, it really helps you keep the glue where it needs to go. And you could use tweezers for this, but I am so clumsy with tweezers. Some people are so graceful with them, but that's not me. And and as you probably noticed, on the back, I just painted it the straight pewter. I got to looking at the front and I'm thinking, man, that looks like the Death Star on Star Wars. But we cheer it up. I add a few other little things. This just reminds me of playing paper dolls. A lot of you are too young to remember, but we used to have little paper dolls. They were come in like coloring books, and you'd cut them out or pull them out. And they'd have these little tab flaps that you would put, it was on the clothes, and you put them over this little doll. Well, I think that Harvey's the same thing minus those little tabs that, well, didn't work all that great anyway. And I thought, well, let's add a little bit of shimmer to beans. And his first eye dotting year was in 2018. So I put that there. Now there is the complete ornament, complete with a buckeye plant and some buckeyes. And his shoes are all polished. And those dots at the top, he did 7, which is a big honor. So I have a dot there for every dot that he did on the field. I hope you enjoyed this, that you'll like and subscribe. Come back and see me. Show me what you do with Harvey. That would be awesome. And I'm going to leave you some more things to watch. And until next time, take care and bye-bye.